guys, CloudWatch. So what do you think about CloudWatch? What is CloudWatch? What do we do with that?
Monitoring.
CloudWatch. So what do we do with that? Monitoring, right? Monitoring. So can we say that CloudWatch is used to monitor performance? This is how we have learned, right? So CloudWatch is used to monitor the performance. CloudWatch is used to monitor performance. Guys, can you tell me, CloudWatch will monitor only the performance of EC2 or it monitors all AWS services? Yes, CloudWatch can monitor all AWS services. It's not only EC2. So CloudWatch can monitor all AWS services. All AWS services. So guys, whenever we think about the monitoring, what are the services that we get it into mind? If we talk about monitoring, what are the services that you get it in your mind? One is CloudWatch. And one is CloudWatch. And yes, CloudTrail. Another one, config. So these are the three things that we usually talk about while we discuss about this monitoring. So CloudWatch, you clearly know that CloudWatch is used to monitor the performance of your EC2 instances or the performance of your any of the AWS services, whereas CloudTrail, so CloudTrail is like for tracking purpose or auditing purpose, or whatever is happening on AWS. If anyone created that, deleted that, accessed that, whatever the client or people will be doing on the AWS, user will be doing on the AWS, everything will be recorded on CloudTrail. Yeah, gym example. Remember gym example? And how about the config? Config meaning, so it is also used for monitoring purpose. Let's say, for example, in security group, we have an inbound rule called HTTP and AG. And you can create a rule for that particular security group saying that, hey, if anyone changes this HTTP rule from 80 to something else, or deleted that or modified that, you will get a notification automatically. So if there is any changes, yes, Poonam. So monitors the changes basically. If there is any changes happening in the AWS environment, and if you want to monitor that particular thing, you can do it from the config. Please keep this in mind. These three are completely three different services, and you should know clearly the difference between all these three. Okay? Nice. So, guys, CloudWatch is all about three things. In CloudWatch is all about three things. CloudWatch is all about, number one, we call it as alarms, events, and logs. Alarm, events, and logs. Guys, so CloudWatch, CloudWatch is a very small service, guys, by the way. CloudWatch is a very small service, and CloudWatch is used for monitoring purpose. And if you want to do little bit more on the monitoring side, so we have a concept called alarms. In our native language, alarms, right? So we have alarms, and then we have events, and then logs. Three things. What are those, guys? Alarms, events, and logs. So when we talk about CloudWatch, you should keep this in mind, these three important things: alarms, events, and logs. Let us take one by one here. So guys, for example, if you want to monitor something, let's say for example, I'm taking one EC2 instance here. This is the EC2 instance. Okay. EC2, and inside in EC2 you can have your application. You can have an application, and of course you have an operating system. Okay. So for this EC2 instance, guys, can you tell me what are the things that we can monitor? What are the things that we can monitor? Yes. So we can monitor CPU, we can monitor network, we can monitor status. That meaning you just put a disk and you can monitor status check. These are the 4 metrics. What do we call it as, guys, here? Metrics. Everyone say this. As what is this called? CPU, network, disk, status check. These are called what? Metrics. And that too it has a separate name, specific name called host level metrics. What is that? Host level metrics. So these are called metrics. And remember, CloudWatch by default can monitor these 4 host level metrics. I'm sorry. Right? So CloudWatch can monitor how many metrics? By default, CloudWatch can monitor how many metrics? 4 metrics. What are those 4 metrics called? Host level metrics. What are the 4 metrics? This is a certification question. CPU, network, disk, and status check. What is that? CPU, network, disk, and status check. These are the 4 host level metrics. Let me write that. CloudWatch can monitor only host level metrics. Guys, these metrics are called default metrics. What are these called? Default metrics. These host level metrics are called default metrics. And okay, what does it mean status check? Does it check if host started, stop, etc.? Guys, do you remember how many status checks are there?
2.
2/2. 2 are there, na? So if you are interested with like, let's say for example 1/2 or 0/2, if there is an instance and if you want to monitor the status check, yes, you can monitor it. Yeah, that's a status check. So guys, these are all called default metrics. For example, now do you see RAM here, memory? Is it possible to monitor the memory based on this host level metrics? No, we don't have memory for this, guys. All those rest of the metrics, we call it as here custom metrics. What do we call here? Custom metrics. For example, custom metrics, memory. If you monitor memory will not come as host level metric. Memory is a custom metric, right? Custom metric. And very importantly, keep this in mind that CloudWatch not only monitor the performance of the EC2 instance, it can monitor the application also. CloudWatch can monitor application also. CloudWatch can monitor application also. That meaning the logs of your application or how it is performing, everything, right? These are all the custom things that you can do. These are called, you can monitor the applications also from the CloudWatch. And guys, what are the default metrics? What we have it here? I'll write it down. CPU, network, disk, and status check are AWS provided metrics. And rest of the any kind of metrics that you want, that is called custom metrics. And next, guys, how many types of monitorings are there in CloudWatch? 2. What are those? Basic monitoring and detailed monitoring. Basic monitoring and detailed monitoring. You know this already. What is this basic monitoring do? What is the time interval? Every 5 minutes interval data points. And it is free or not? Yes, it is free. This one, every 1 minute interval. Data points. And of course, this is bill. Yep. So do you yesterday, I mean in our last class I show you the data points. You know the data points, right? So data points meaning what? If you take any EC2, if you take any CPU utilization of any EC2 instance of anything, we'll have the graph like this, right? Remember? You have the graph like this. So if it is basic monitoring, you will have, if you have basic monitoring, so let's say at exactly at 9 o'clock, or next point is at 9:05, and next point is at 9:10, next point is at 9:15. So like this, every 5 minutes you have it. Whereas in detail monitoring, if we take it at 9 o'clock, the next point would be at 9:01, and next point would be 9:02, and next point would be 9:03. So maybe here is 20% of CPU, like say, and here it is 70% of CPU. These are called data points. These are called data points. Is this clear till here, everyone? Simple and sweet. Nice. And let us talk about alarms. Let us talk about alarms. So what is this alarm? So guys, alarms meaning, if you want to monitor the EC2 instance, how do you monitor? Let's say, what are the things that you can monitor? For example, you take CPU utilization. And if you want to monitor CPU utilization, you cannot stare with your eyes all the time for your CPU utilization graph. Na? So for that's the reason, you will set up an alarm. You will set up an alarm. For what? For an EC2 instance. For example, you have an EC2 instance here. You have an EC2 instance. For this EC2 instance, you are interested with the CPU metric. There will be a metric. And you can say that if the CPU metric is greater than, for example, the CPU metric is greater than 90%, right? And send a notification. Notification meaning what? Notification meaning what is the concept that we can utilize here? SMS. So like this, you can create an alarm. Like this, you can create an alarm. Like this, you can create an alarm. So guys, you will put an alarm for your clock, right? For your watch, right? For your clock. And exactly if you put it morning 5 o'clock, what you do? You stop it and you'll sleep again, right? Now, so exactly at 5 o'clock, alarm will get snoozed, and then yeah, that will get triggered. The best thing here also, alarms are also same thing. So if this EC2 is a source and CPU is a metric, and then on that source, if whatever the metric that you are interested in, you configure that, and if it is reaching this threshold value, you will send this alarm will send a notification. Remember, guys, in notification we have topics. Na? Did you subscribe to the topic? Did you create it and subscribe to the topics already? Yes. Right. So alarms will not only trigger SNS, but alarms also has a little bit more powerful, right? So alarms can do some actions also. Can do some actions. Alarms can do some actions. You know what? Those actions are, so you can terminate the EC2 instance, you can stop the EC2 instance, you can reboot the EC2 instance, or you can repair the EC2 instance. But these are all, if you want, you can, otherwise these are all optional. So alarms can do some actions. That meaning, for example, if CPU utilization is less than 5%, that meaning is that EC2 instance is used. Only 4-5 responses. How about others? Yes. So if the CPU utilization is less than 5%, definitely the machine is not in use. So that meaning if you have, you can also do this kind of things. Let's say, for example, if you have requirement that if the CPU utilization is less than 5%, you stop the EC2 instance. How do you do this automatically, guys? You can create an alarm, and then you can create an alarm saying that CPU utilization, if the CPU utilization is less than 5%, you can take an action called stop, or you can take an action called terminate, or you can take an action called reboot. You can take an action called repair. Repair is for status check. Repair meaning if it is 1/2 or 0/2, if you select repair, and then 2/2, status checks will come up there. So here the takeaway is here, guys, alarms can do some action based on requirements and still optional. And alarm has 3 states. How many states are there? Alarms has 3 states. Number 1, if the CPU is, if you have created an alarm called CPU is greater than 90%. So let's say if CPU is 95%, the status is in alarm state. If the CPU is less than 90, okay. And let's say, for example, there is another state called insufficient. Insufficient meaning it's like mera karan na chunayega, right? So that meaning if the EC2 instance is not available, that meaning if the EC2 instance, the source is not available. If the source is not available, do you get any CPU utilization graph? No. If there is no graph, in that case, it will show it as insufficient. Insufficient meaning your EC2 instance or whatever the source that you are expecting to get the graph, that is not available. How many states are there? 3. What are those, guys? Alarm, okay, and insufficient. Is this clear? Yes. So this is the first one called alarms. And the next one here we'll see this events. What are these events? The next thing here we have something called events. So how many instance states are there, guys? How many instance states are there? 6 are there, na? 6 are there. Very good. So I'm just reminding that. So what are those? Pending to running, and stopping to stop, and then shutting down to terminated. These are the events. Okay, these are all the statuses. Yeah, these are the statuses. Can I say this? These are all. So when we get this pending, running, stopping state and all, whenever you do some changes on the EC2 instance, can I say that EC2 instance status change notification, right? So for example, let's say, guys, you have an EC2 instance. For example, you have an EC2 instance. Guys, you have an EC2 instance like this. This is EC2, and then let's say this is a very important server called DB server. Okay, so now this is a very critical server, guys. This is a very critical server. If someone has stopped this EC2 instance, you should get a notification. You should get a notification. How? That you can get it through events. Guys. So whenever you stop, start, pending, running, shutting down, terminated, whatever that you do it for the EC2 instance, in the back end, there will be a events generated in the backend. So you can catch that particular interested event and you can route it to SNS. Not only SNS, you can route it to any other service. And how do you configure the events is, let's say for example here, someone has stopped the EC2 instance. Okay, someone has stop the EC2 instance. So what event is triggered now? Yes. So this event, stop event has been triggered. So what you need to do is in events, you need to create a rule. What is that you need to do? You need to create a rule saying that, hey, if any, this particular EC2 instance, guys, EC2 instance has instance ID na? Guys, EC2 instance has instance ID. You can get easily that instance ID, right? So you can take that instance ID and you can create a rule that, hey, this instance ID has generated an event called stop. Now, if that is stop, you have a concept called route to the target. To which you need to route to the target, guys? To the SNS. If you are interested in stop, create a rule, select that particular event, and route to the target. Here, who is the target here? Where you are routing it? I am routing it to here, SNS. SNS. Of course, you have topic inside, and you can get an email notification. And this is called here target. Route to the target. What is the target here? SNS. Guys, you understood how to create the rule? So here, SNS is not only the target. For example, let me give an example here, another example. Guys, now, do you remember I gave an example that exactly at 9 p.m. all the EC2 instances should stop, and morning 9 a.m. all the EC2 instances will be started automatically. Lambda. How do you achieve that? Using Lambda. But yes, so these events, guys, these events basically, before going to that, let me give another example, guys. Let's say, for example, if Babji is launching the EC2 instance in my AWS environment, automatically it will get terminated. How? How do we do this? If some user is launching the EC2 instance, automatically that is getting terminated. Yes. Remember, by creating functions, lambda functions. Remember, guys? So how do we do this here? See here. We can, okay, someone is launching the instance. That meaning, what is the event that you are interested in here? Launching meaning, what is the event that you will get it? What is the status that you will get it? Pending, running. Yes or no? Someone is started or launched the EC2 instance, meaning these are the two status that we get it, right? Pending, running. Yes. So this is the event. What was that? Okay. Pending, running. Running. And here, this is the event that we are interested in, and then we will be creating a rule. So we'll be creating a rule here. Right, and to where you want to route the target this time, guys? Route to the target lambda, because in lambda we need to write the function. So what is the function that you need to write it in the lambda? You should write a function which in Python or wherever it is. What function? That function would be for the terminate function. You write some function which has the code which will be terminating that EC2 instance. So can we schedule like this, guys, using events? Yeah, this is the target. Got that, guys? And this is, this is thing. And another thing, using events, what we can do is scheduling. What is that? We have something called scheduler, or we can use cron job. So now, requirement, guys. We should write code, sir, or program it. Guys, there are few things. This is the automation thing, na? So this is automation thing. If you are a DevOps engineer, you should write the script. You should write the Python code. But remember, most of the things that is available in the internet, you can just take it and modify it. Okay. So now I have a requirement that at 9 p.m. exactly, instance should be stopped. And at 9 a.m. instance should be started. How do we achieve this, guys? So we can schedule it, and then we can create an event saying that. So how many, guys, can you tell me how many functions that I need to write here? 2 functions. Very good. How many functions I need to write here? 2 functions. One is, we call it as stop function, stop lambda function. Need to write stop lambda function like this, and then need to write another function called start lambda function. So you need to create a 2 schedule events saying that 9 p.m. exactly 9 p.m. this stop lambda function will be triggered, and in that lambda function you have to mention all the EC2 instance IDs, and then this lambda function will go and stop all the EC2 instances exactly at 9 p.m. And morning at the 9 a.m. also, in that start lambda function, you have to mention all the instance ID that should be started, and then exactly at 9 a.m. this lambda function will go and start the EC2 instances. Is it clear, guys? Events. Clear? Nice. And the last one, what we have in CloudWatch is logs. Okay. Is anyone developers here? Okay. Let's say, for example, Ashish or Hari, whoever it is. Okay. Now, let's say Hari. Hari is sitting here with his laptop. Okay. So Hari is a developer or whoever it is, right? Whoever it is, and developer definitely whoever it, DevOps engineer, whoever it is, guys. Now let's say, for example, you have many EC2 instances. For example, one. Let's say, for example, yeah, 2, 3, 4. Let's say we have 4 EC2 instances for now. Okay, we have 4 EC2 instances, and each EC2 instances, guys, these are all EC2s. These are all EC2 instances. And each EC2 instance will have its own application, yes or no, guys? Each EC2 instance will have its own application, different applications. Yes? Yes. Can you also tell me, guys, each application will have its own logs? Each application will generate its own logs? Yes. Each application have its own logs. Each application will have its own logs. Now you tell me, guys, if you want to check logs, that meaning for how many EC2 instances that you need to log in here? You want to check the logs? 4 different EC2 instances that you need to. Hari has to log into 4 different EC2 instances in order to check the log. I just given for an example. What if you have 10, 15, 20 EC2 instances? Is it easy or it is possible to log into each and every EC2 instance to check the logs? As a developer, are you interested like this? It's very difficult. So it's very difficult. And how it would be like, there will be a centralized place. There will be a centralized place where all your logs can be pushed here centrally. How that would be? Centralize, right? Centralize the logs, right? That makes our life easier, isn't it? So in order to not to log into the each and every EC2 instance, how would it be like? So all the logs from the EC2 instances can be pushed to a single place. Can be pushed to a single place. And the Hari now, no need to log into the EC2 instances. He can just go to the centralized place and then he can check the logs of all EC2 instances. And this centralized place, we call it as here CloudWatch logs. What do we call it as here? CloudWatch logs. The same way, guys. The same way, like you have many like OpsView, Splunk, right? Nagios, right? You have what is that? New Relic, right? So Kibana, Logstash, all these kind of things that you have third-party tools that you have available on the market. But here, if you want to make use of AWS native log centralized management system, and you can do it from CloudWatch logs. CloudWatch logs. Got this, guys? CloudWatch logs. Now you tell me. So how does this EC2 instance will push the logs to this CloudWatch logs? So all of a sudden it will not do it by itself. There is something called here agent. So what we need to do is we need to install the agent in all our EC2 instances that you want to push the logs. Need to install the agent. Okay, guys. Now you tell me. And I will install the agent, and this is a plain EC2 instance. This agent does have access to your CloudWatch to push the logs? No. And what is the concept that you can use it here? Excellent, Babji. Roles. What is that? Roles will come into picture. So here, I'll create a role. Now for that role, what kind of access I need to provide, guys? CloudWatch, full access. CloudWatch, full access, for example. So, for this role, I'll provide this CloudWatch full access, and then what I do is test. I provide to this role, and this role can be attached to all our EC2 instances. Once this role is attached to this all EC2 instances, right, and okay, now whatever this agent will have the permission to push the logs to this CloudWatch logs. To this CloudWatch. Got this, guys? Understood? Everyone? Yes. So CloudWatch is all about these three things: alarms, events, and logs. And nowadays CloudWatch is getting improved slowly, whereas in CloudWatch they have added multiple services like if you want to monitor Docker, if you want to monitor your lambdas, and if you want to monitor your microservices applications, that can also be done using this CloudWatch. But that is not our topic. But here from the CloudWatch, you should understand how to create alarms, how to set up events, how to do the logs, how to push the logs, and then also this time I will be showing a little bit on Lambda also. So here the lab, what we can do it is here is We can create an alarms, we can set up the events, we can set up the schedulers, and we can set up this CloudWatch centralized logs. These are all things that we'll be doing in our lab session. Any questions? Logs. So in order, see, Syed, so every application generates its own logs. Isn't it difficult for you to log into each and every EC2 instance and check the logs of this application server? Right? So you have 4 EC2 instances. That meaning you need to log into 4 EC2 instances and then check the logs, which is very difficult. So in that case, what we can do is we can install an agent, and that agent will push these individual logs to a centralized location. And simply, in order not to, you don't need to log into the EC2 instance. You just go to the AWS CloudWatch console and try. This is, guys, AWS CloudWatch console. This console, right? CloudWatch console. So go to the CloudWatch console. You have an option called CloudWatch logs. There, all these logs will be pushed centrally here. You can just check everything from the console, not while logging into the EC2. Why? Clear? 4 individual logs. It will be pushed based on the instance ID. It will create an instance ID folder, directory, and then there it will be pushed the logs. Any other questions? What is the agent here? It is also provided by AWS. So agent here is, we will be installing the agent. That is called CloudWatch agent. Agent meaning here, CloudWatch agent. CloudWatch agent. We need to install agent individually on EC2. Yes, we need to install the agent individually on the EC2 instances. Yeah, it's a software. Yes, it's a software. Roles will be assigned not to the agent. Role will be assigned attached to the EC2 instance. Manideep is asking usage of a role. We have discussed a lot of time, many times on the roles, right? So guys, instead of configuring keys here on the EC2 instance in order to access to the CloudWatch logs, it's not good to configure the keys. No? That's the reason why we use the concept called roles here. How does this agent will have access to this CloudWatch? By default, nothing will have access, right? And if you give the roles here, if you attach the roles here, an agent will have access to the CloudWatch log, because the role we have attaching CloudWatch full access here. So guys, this time we will see the roles in action in this here. For each EC2 instance, we will create a separate folder for logs. Yes, right, Hari. Give authorization template access without having to log in. Yes, okay. True. Yeah. Okay, so take a screenshot, guys. Done? Yes. So tomorrow, what we do is we will take the full-fledged CloudWatch lab. Okay. Great. So guys, can you give the final CC for today on this CloudWatch topic? Great. So that is all, guys, for today, and I'll see you tomorrow with the CloudWatch lab. Until then, take care. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Stay safe.